let's go back over to our project and let's go to index.js. Now what we're doing right now, we have already started to do by creating a schema file and by creating a model file. This file here, the snack.model, will hold all of the logic for acting on our database and manipulating documents and inserting new data. The schema file will pretty much stay the same unless we want to add a new property to our schema, or if we would like to extend this schema by adding a new object. But for the most part, we will be creating new schema files that have their own domain, which I talked about in a previous lesson. So say for instance, the next collection that we create is called ingredients. Ingredients is its own concern, its own domain. So that will have its own schema file. And once we separate those out, it'll make it easier to scale up. So let's go back to our index.js. We have our endpoints, and we have our controllers, which are favorite snack controller and ingredient controller, and create new snack. Now, these were just for demo purposes. We might not keep all of these, but for the sake of showing you how to separate this out in the proper way, I will gather all of our controllers and put them in their own file. So let's create a new directory called controllers. And let's create a file in this directory called snack.controller.js. Save. Okay, so now let's go back to index.js and gather all of our controllers and cut them and paste them into this new file. Different collections will want to have their own business logic. So by separating these controllers out, we can have controllers for each collection or for each specific use case. So the only thing we need to import into our controller is this, our snack model. So let's put that at the top. Now we want to create an object called snack controller that will hold these functions as methods. So enter a few spaces down, const snack controller equals empty object, and then we will prepend these functions by making them methods of this object. And then equals arrow function. There we go. And let's do the same thing to these two controllers. Equals arrow function. And equals arrow function. Perfect. Now we just want to export this controller. Module.exports equals snack controller. Perfect. Save. And now we want to import this snack controller into our roots. So let's go back over to index.js. Now there are some stray spaces in here. new lines, and we want to get rid of those. I like to keep all of the same methods together. So let's grab all of our gets and put those together. And use comments to organize them. Post. Perfect. So now all of our gets, oops, I wanted to just copy, not cut. All of our gets and all of our posts are together. Now we just want to import the controller var snack controller equals require. It is one directory up. Controllers slash snack.controller. Oops. Snack.controller. Perfect. Alright, now let's prepend each of these controllers with the object name, because all of these controllers are properties of this snack controller object that we created here. So let's save, and now I just want to test this out. So let's add a different value to one of our properties of this insert method here. So instead of popcorn, let's just make it cupcakes and save, just so we can see something new in the Mongo shell when we test this out, because we just separated out a bunch of logic into a new file. So, all right, I think we're all good. Let's go over to our terminal. Mongo daemon is started. Let's restart our node server. Success. Now let's go over to our Mongo shell, which is still running, and let's make the insert. Enter. Our node server said it was successful, so our console log fired. So that means we should have a new document in our collection, cupcakes. You know, now I'm noticing that the snack property did not store. So this is a good example of how dynamic schemas work. We did not name a property that was actually defined in our schema. And normally, if I made an insert in, like, say, the Mongo shell, or using just plain old MongoDB and not the Mongoose schemas, I would be able to store whatever property I defined that wasn't the snack property. And it looks like it's called name instead of snack. We defined in our schema snack, and that's a string. I did not include that. I included name instead. And normally it would save name, but it did not save name because I did not define it in my schema. And that is how Mongoose helps you be more rigid with your database operations. So let's fix that really quick. Let's call it snack and save. And let's go back, restart our node server. Excellent. And let's go to Chrome and hit enter on our GET request. All right, and it was successful. So we should have a new document. Yes, there we go, snack cupcakes. So we successfully fixed that mistake, because dynamic schemas aren't really dynamic when you are using Mongoose schemas. It makes it more rigid, and it helps you be more organized and thorough with your code. So what we did here was we successfully separated out all of our concerns. We have a file with all of our endpoints. We have a file with our controllers, which implements some logic when an endpoint is hit. And then we also created a schema and we were able to separate our model method from the schema. So now I'd like to show you some features that schemas come with and how they work.